The second Nihility and Dreams Tempest Trials is here to accompany our tea time seasonals. As usual, you can get up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. And yes, you're going to want those coins this month. You can also get 50 ephemera, 8 divine codes, and 1 animal blessing for mythic rare. For sacred seals, we got Titan Speed Catch and Bold Fighter, 2 heavy hitters. For the reward unit, we have Teatime Tailtiu, and you can get a 4-star and 5-star copy. We'll talk about her more later on. This month's sacred seals are pretty spicy, and I would probably upgrade both of them. First is Titan Speed Catch 3, which is more universal. If the foe has full health or an active penalty, then grant plus 5 attack and speed to unit. Catch skills are excellent stat boosters for flyers and cavaliers. The tier 3 catch does not give a bonus for meeting both conditions, but it still generally works best with penalties and debuffs in case enemies get hurt. There are stronger attack and speed options like attack and speed solo, form, or blade session, but you don't need to worry about positioning with catch skills. They work on either phase, and generally most fights are against full HP foes, so it kind of just works by default. Personally, I've enjoyed mixing and matching the catch seals on my units, and attack and speed catch is an easy substitute for the other offensive stat boosters. It's a fine option for units like the new Ferdinand, Lysithea, or Ira. Our other sacred seal is Bold Fighter 3. If unit initiates, grants +1 special charge per unit's attack, and unit makes a free follow-up attack. Even if 99% of ARM units are just savior bots now, Bold Fighter is still an incredible skill and was just way too strong when it released at the end of year 1. Back then, very few ways to block follow-up skills, and guard was also not easy to get. Player phase ARM units have not dominated like that in a long while, but there are some outliers like Harmonic Edelgard. In general, Assault Troop 3's movement can let the high-stat armors get into the action, and can be an alternative to the Armor March teams from back then. Bold Fighter's follow-up is not so big a deal nowadays, but the extra special charge is still good, especially on Brave units. The old Brave Weapon plus Bold Fighter combo is still hilarious for quad potential, but if you only double, you can still get a quick special off with 2 hits. Harmonic Edelgard, for example, has Excited Special, so she can prime and proc Bonfire with Heavy Blade. Bold Fighter can just replace Heavy Blade in your build, and you no longer need to do an attack check. Same idea to ready Gale Force in 2 hits. Now Raging Storm does have follow-up attacks, but only against those beasts and dragons. Bold Fighter opens that quad attack door to all opponents. It also means Edelgard can quad faster dragons or beasts if they only have 1 follow-up deny effect. Now besides Edelgard, you can run Bold Fighter on any of the enemy phase, beast skills, or saviors for mixed phase options. With things like Guidance 4, maybe this can be a viable option. For a fun idea, Bold Fighter as a seal is hilarious for armored healers. Now you can run something like Dazzling Shift for warping, Wrathful Staff for fine, and Bold Fighter to double. Swap to Poetic Justice for full damage. Additionally, this gives them cooldown reduction, which is the other issue all healers face if you want to use the new damage specials. Probably not meta, but it's just silly all the same. Have to wonder if this means Bold Fighter 4 isn't too far in the future.
Welcome to Tailtiu's Tea Time! How does that sound? I think even Father Claude would enjoy being served by someone this cute, don't you?
Our reward unit for this event is going to be Teatime Tailtiu from the Tempest Trials. Say that one 5 times fast. Tailtiu will be a green infantry mage this time, and for stats, she has 39 HP, 42 attack, 44 speed, 21 defense, and 31 resistance. She will have a nice attack super boon, and for free-to-play mages, 42 base is actually decently high. Meanwhile, Tailtiu's 44 base speed is incredibly high for heroic realm mages. To put some perspective on that, with max dragon flowers, not a single heroic rail infantry mage of any color hits 40 speed. A whole lot of middling speed mages in that group. Now among demoted infantry mages, Tailtiu also is top dog for speed. I know inheritable tome options have not been that impressive, but we gotta get that arcane green tome one day, and if it's geared for higher speed mages, then Tailtiu's in a really good spot if you want to merge project. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about Tailtiu's inheritable green tome. She has the Teacake Tower Plus. 12 might, if you initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +4 to all stats, and inflict penalty on foe stats during combat equal to the current bonus on each of those stats times 2, calculated independently. Sadly, Tailtiu did not get the same weapon effect like Ferdinand on the banner, and that's because they're both green mages. Teacake Tower Plus is not a new effect, it is the same effect we got from the Bridal Banner inheritables earlier this year. Essentially, this is an all-around stat boosting tome that has the in-combat panic effect. If the foe has a +6 attack field buff, you inflict -12 attack in combat. You punish field buffs, and it does cover all 4 stats at the very least. It's not a terrible weapon, but it's a pure stat boosting weapon, and that just makes it tougher to build around since you need other skill effects for combat. It also may not do anything if the foe has no field buffs, and that's not in your control. You do not want to run low effects either if you're running this tome. Now for the rest of her base kit, Tailtiu doesn't really have anything that synergizes with her weapon or stats. Reciprocate is whatever, but we don't have any HP manipulating going on. Drive Attack 2 is a very basic support buff that's not rare. The only eye catcher here is Still Water 3. Grants flat +5 attack and res in exchange for -5 defense. Still Water and Solid Ground are non-speed versions of Life and Death. This is the first time we're getting a non-5-star unit with the skill line, and you can use the tier 3 to upgrade to the tier 4 if you want. They aren't exactly huge upgrades, but the main purpose of these skills is to boost area effect special damage. You can also use them for res checking debuffs like Ployer Sabotage. Now if your mage has low defense, this can be a better option than Fortress Defense and Res if you want to keep their attack stat in check. If you want to merge Tailtiu, her neutral nature will add +1 HP, attack, and speed. That's great if you don't want to use trait fruits. Otherwise, feel free to grab her attack super boon, and of course, bonus speed never hurts either. Maybe you could grab a defense boon if you really want to commit to a Teacake Tower all-around stat boosting build. For some free-to-play Green Infantry Mage comparisons, we have a whopping 3 other heroic girl options. As you can see, Tailtiu is all alone if you're looking for a faster option. Limstella is on the opposite side of the stat spectrum if you wanted a bulkier mage. With Dragon Flowers, it's slightly closer, but no one comes close to Tailtiu's offensive stats. Female Robin has a resplendent outfit and gets the 5-sided Dragon Flowers, so that's an extra 35 base stats together. If you wanted a mage who could use the Teacake Tower's general stat focus, Robin kinda fits that bill. As for the demoted summonable infantry mages, we got a little more competition. Rickon is also a Gen 7 unit and has higher attack but 5 less speed. If you have max Dragon Flowers, Nino is the next fastest option, and with the resplendent stat boost, she is so close to Tailtiu. She catches up in base stat totals, but ends up having higher defense and res compared to Tailtiu's more attack and speed focus. Nino's BST won't count toward arena scoring, and the resplendent stats aren't free, but still kinda impressive for good old Nino. Part of the problem is that we just don't get a ton of demoted or heroic girl green infantry mages. Besides Rickon and Limthir, there was only Orochi and Bastion added since year 1. Those two aren't fast, they just focus on high resistance. Main takeaway from all this is that Teatime Tailtiu pretty much stands alone if you wanted a modern, fast, green infantry mage with good attack. For playstyle builds, Tailtiu has great base attack and speed, but not the best base kit. To be completely honest, I would probably swap everything out. Teacake Tower Plus is not exactly the best if you want an offensive build, but budget inherits with green tomes are also not great, so maybe best to stick with it. We can at least try to make it work. Stillwater, while rare, doesn't really make sense to keep. We have a tome that boosts all 4 stats. Stillwater sacrifices defense, but we can get the same attack and res boost with attack and res ideal or bond or form and not lose stats. Boosting 31 flat res also isn't really that amazing. If you wanted a ploy or sabotage user, Bastion starts with 45 base res. Whatever you try to do with Teacake Tower, I would suggest at least getting no follow-up for combat that will handle slower enemies and their follow-up effects. As for stat stacking, you can run any combination of stat boosters depending on what you want to focus on. It's not going to be crazy, but if you want to stack defense, then go ahead. Teacake Tower will handle enemy field buffs, you got the +4 defense, and you could take the defense stat refine. We have many stat boosters such as Ideal, Bond, Form, Stand skills, etc. You can run Fury if you want. We have self-buff and C skills like Oath or Rouse. You could pair that with Link B skills and bonus doubler, although you're gonna have to drop one for no follow. Full field buffing with bonus doubler can cover all 4 stats, kinda like the Teacake Tower. Now for premium skill options, you could try to upgrade to the tier 4 no follow-up B skill. Still utilizes Tailtiu's higher base speed, and you're gonna get 50% DR piercing. If you're gonna go for a full stat stacking route, the remote A skills can give their own damage reduction. You could run these with one of the % DR B skills like Guard 4 or Brash 4, then flex no follow-up into the Sacred Seal slot. It's not full synergistic, but for first encounters or enemy phase, the Teacake Tower can punish field boss. If you were to run something like Panic Smoke 4, you can apply real panic afterwards, some debuffs, and you're gonna get that full penalty doubler. These can at least benefit everyone on your team as well. For during offensive builds, can't go wrong with the Special Sparrow 4 for full DR piercing. Tailtiu has a couple cooldown options to get to that first special. Times Pulse, Flashing Blade, even the new Flash Sparrow. Ideally, finish 4 A skills would be nice to pair for the extra stats and a little bit of healing. If you're going to be summoning on the Teatime banner, you can get Tailtiu's best weapon. Teatime Set Plus from Ferdinand is way more impressive for a faster mage like Tailtiu. It grants +5 attack and speed, and if you outspeed, you're going to get offensive follow-up. Like Ferdy, this can be run with Wind or Water Sweep for some protection, or you can pair with the new Desperation 4, also on the banner. If you initiate while moving at least 2 spaces, you can proc Desperation at full HP, and the double is guaranteed thanks to offensive follow. With Flashing Blade or Flash Sparrow, you can also proc a Quick Glimmer or Moonbow, even have the option to upgrade to Luna if you run Times Pulse. You're not going to have Deer Piercing of any kind though. As a bonus, Tailtiu gets Kanto 1 for flexible mobility options. While the Teatime set is actually pretty decent, we still don't have an Arcane Green Tome. That's kind of just what everyone's waiting on. If it has excited specials, that makes a Spiral build stronger. If it's got any kind of speed focus, Tailtiu is the best option for the free-to-play units. Overall, these in Tempest Trials, we got 2 new Hot Sacred Seals. 10 speed catch is definitely worth the upgrade for your cabs and flyers. Bold Fighter is an incredibly strong skill to have as a seal. It's just that outside of Edelgard, which armies want to give up stats for their savior builds in exchange for that mixed phase power. It should still be a hilarious seal to mess around with though. For example, you could even pair that Bold Fighter seal with something like Desperation 4 and some fast army unit with Brave Weapon. Now, as for Teatime Tailtiu, only our 4th Heroica Green Infantry Mage. She has great base attack and speed stats and will be the best offensive option among any free-to-play green mages if you want to focus on speed. Unfortunately, you're definitely going to want a new set of skills to capitalize on that speed stat. Teacake Tower Plus is alright for dealing with enemy field buffs, but it's a pure stat weapon that may not do anything if the field doesn't have buffs on. Luckily, Tailtiu's best offensive weapon is on the Teatime banner, but we also don't have that Arcane Green Tome, and that could just be an even better option. Sadly, the other free-to-play friendly and habitable options just aren't that amazing. Either way, Tailtiu is in a good spot stat-wise if you want to build a faster green mage. That's all I got for this video. Go grab those fun secret seals and last big batch of orbs before COL 7 arrives later this month. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon to talk about the Ephemeris 7 common manuals.